Alright, so despite starting off 2-1, the Eagles have dealt with a ton of criticism in recent days, and it's come in multiple forms, with Cowboys star pass rusher Micah Parsons ripping safety CJ Gardner-Johnson for some recent comments that he made, while also making excuses for the Saints' loss to the Birds. But you better believe that CJ instantly fired back with some comments of his own. And Dallas Goedert kind of did the same thing, as with head coach Nick Sirianni under fire, Goedert defended him in a recent interview, while offensive coordinator Kellen Moore did his best to shut down the drama surrounding Nick Sirianni calling plays from time to time, as he revealed the truth behind what goes into the Eagles play calling, and it's pretty interesting. So we're going to talk about that and all the other latest Eagles news starting right now. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles. And let's start this off with some roster moves that the Eagles just made following their Week 3 win, as of course we know that the Birds found themselves pretty decimated at the wide receiver position, as in addition to A.J. Brown already dealing with a hamstring injury, two more guys went down in this game in Devontae Smith and Britton Covey, and Covey's injury is actually serious and is going to keep him out for a long time. In fact, the report said it was going to be at least 6 weeks. So on Tuesday, the Eagles went ahead and placed Covey on IR while also signing tight end Jack Stoll to the active roster, which I definitely think makes sense as he's a good depth piece at that position. And then they also brought back the speedster John Ross to the practice squad. And if you'll remember, Ross actually spent the entire offseason with the Eagles after earning himself an opportunity with a tryout in Eagles rookie minicamp. And in training camp, Ross not only was fighting for a roster spot, but at one point it seemed like he was actually competing to possibly even be the team's wide receiver 3 as he was taking some first team reps. And he apparently had some really solid practices, so not only is this a good move to bring him back to the practice squad, but it also seems like there's a shot that Ross could actually play on Sunday versus the Bucs. As if AJ and Smitty are both out, then I feel like it's super likely that the Eagles would call him up to be the team's 4th wide receiver. And speaking of the Eagles' all of a sudden very thin wide receiver group, offensive coordinator Kellen Moore spoke to the media on Tuesday where he was asked about the possibility of not having his top 3 guys on Sunday, and he expressed confidence in the other guys behind them.
You know, we feel really confident and comfortable with those guys, especially, you know, you give them a few extra days and they can kind of continue to develop and handle all the different adjustments through a game plan. And so we feel very fortunate to have those guys.
How challenging is it to game plan with guys that, you know, are a little further down the depth chart in a short period of time?
No, you just understand circumstances as far as, you know, who may or may not be available for a game. And so I think what Aaron does an excellent job with that group is, you know, we have certainly a foundation of how we anticipate the game going with the players, but they really have to have a great understanding of the big picture of the concepts and understand that they may have to make an adjustment based off who's available during the game. And so, you know, it's a big picture group. It's a really special group. You know, for us to have guys like Paris who can hop in here, have played a ton of football. Jahan's played a ton of football. Johnny, we're so fired up to have. And so for those guys to hop in there and just play ball, we feel really confident and comfortable with them.
I guess the silver lining if both AJ and Smitty can't go is that, like Kellen said, they do have a few guys who have played a lot of football in this league before and had big roles. I mean, Jahan Dotson and Paris Campbell have both been starters and contributors for multiple years before, and John Ross has too. So while it's certainly definitely not ideal to have AJ and Smitty likely out this week, it's at least good that the Birds do have experienced guys behind them to try and pick up the slack. But getting back to Kellen Moore's press conference though, I do want to touch on some things he said regarding the Eagles play calling and specifically the instances where Nick Sirianni will take over and call a play. As of course, ever since Sirianni revealed that he called that play on 4th and 1 at the end of the half this past week, there has been a ton of drama surrounding this whole situation, as I think everyone is honestly just thinking about last year and worried that Sirianni is going to override Moore far too often and take matters into his own hands like he did last year at times. And while those concerns may be valid, Kellen Moore did his best to quiet the drama as he revealed the truth behind the Eagles play calling and the process that goes into it. And he also explained that this way of doing things is far from abnormal.
When Nick comes to you and says he wants to call a play like he did on that 4th and 1, how does that happen?
Oh, I think it's just a collaborative aspect of this thing. We're constantly talking about all these different scenarios. When can we call a particular play? And it's a matter of us teaming up on when's the right time to call a particular one. And so, you know, those are constant conversations. You know, Stout's heavily involved in the run game. Guys in the box, you trust their eyes on certain looks when you're using tempo and you're trying to identify a defensive look. You know, in those situations, you know, obviously we've talked a lot about them. When can we make this decision to go for it? You know, and sometimes Nick's going to be a part of that. Sometimes Stout's going to be a part of that. It's really a collaborative effort.
Nick has final say because he's the head coach. Stout doesn't, so the hierarchy is different there. How does it change when you do get the information versus when you get it from Stout or Jason Michaels or whoever else?
I think no different than any place I've ever been. Obviously, we're all teaming up on this thing, and we all lean on each other. I think we have an excellent process here. It's been a really fun process just because of how much work we put into it during the week to prepare ourselves for those situations.
So it sounds like Sirianni isn't even close to the only Eagles coach that has input on play calling and has a say. And even though Sirianni does have the final say because he is the head coach, I do think the concerns surrounding this as of now are probably a little bit overblown, as like Moore said, this is the same way that most teams around the league operate. It's not just unique to Sirianni and the Eagles, and I honestly think the reason that people may be getting worked up over this is because everyone's just really worried we're going to have a repeat of last year where Sirianni asserts himself far too much into the offense. But the thing is, this isn't last year, and through 3 games, you can clearly see that this is a Kellen Moore offense, and things look completely different than they did in 2023. Now, does Nick need to be better with some of the situational play calling and decisions? Absolutely 100% yes, but also, to be fair to him, we only really know about the bad plays that he's called this year and not the good ones, as you can bet that he's called other plays that haven't been reported on that have worked out. So overall, I'm not worried, and I don't really think this is much of an issue, but what do you guys think? Now, all that being said though, I'm definitely not excusing the poor decisions Sirianni has made this year, especially in the last game, because it nearly prevented the Birds from coming away with a win, so I certainly understand all the criticism and think some, not all of it, is warranted. However, the one thing I think you can't really question about Nick, at least up to this point, is that he's gonna have the support of his players, at least that we know of, and that includes tight end Dallas Goedert, who recently came to the defense of his head coach. And don't worry, we're going to get into that and so much more in just a minute, but real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and don't want to miss any others like it coming in the future, then make sure you subscribe and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. I think that's a win-win for the both of us, because not only do I get more people consistently watching these videos, but you don't miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this. So again, subscribe, turn on notifications, and also drop a like. Let's see if we can get to 700 likes on this video today. And now, with all that being said, let's get back into the video. So as I was saying, on Tuesday, Dallas Goedert went on the Pat McAfee show, and he defended Nick Sirianni and fired back at the criticism by saying, quote, "We love Nick. He's the same person every day. I think it's just part of being coach in Philadelphia. They'll come for your head even if you're winning if something ain't right. We have all the faith in the world in him, and he has the same in us, which is why we go for it on these 4th downs. We just need to execute better as players. It feels good to have that kind of trust from your coach." So there is a lot to like from that statement, whether it be Goedert backing his head coach or him kind of taking accountability and saying that the players just have to execute better when they go for it. And again, say what you will about Sirianni and his decision making and play calls at times, but I don't think there's any doubt that he has the support of his players, he's built connections with all of them, and that he's got all the guys bought into what they're trying to accomplish. But again, this is the give and take with Sirianni. Sure, the guys love him, but you also just can't have your head coach hurting your football team come game day. So hopefully he's able to learn from his mistakes regarding certain decisions and adjusts. I know I'm certainly rooting for him, because if he's able to figure these things out and avoid the mistakes he's made in the past moving forward, then that just gives the Eagles a much better chance of accomplishing their ultimate goal this year. Now, getting back to Dallas Goedert though, he's obviously coming off an absolutely incredible game where he put up a career high in catches and yards, while also catapulting himself to the top of the list in terms of tight end receiving leaders this year. Plus, he also set an Eagles record for the most yards by a tight end in one single game. So it certainly was a fantastic showing for Goedert, and the only way it could have been better is if he took that 61-yard reception all the way in for a touchdown. And it seems left tackle Jordan Mailata was a little bit disappointed in Goedert's speed after he didn't score on that play.
Heartbreak late on Monday. Can they turn it around here in New Orleans?
Hurts is back. Hurts steps up. He fires.
Trying to get some of it back. They'll get plenty. Dallas Goedert is wide open.
Go, son. Go, son. Go, son. Unhook the trailer. Unhook the trailer.
60 yards from Hurts to Goedert.
Dallas, you slow mother. I'm sorry. I'm happy. I promise.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was pretty hilarious, and it's really no surprise coming from Jordan, as his big personality is always on full display. And someone else you could say the same about is CJ Gardner-Johnson, as he seems to be the same guy in pretty much every circumstance. I mean, you know he's going to bring the energy, you know he's going to be unbelievably confident in himself and his teammates, and you also know that he's always going to talk some trash. And that's exactly what he did after the Eagles went over the Saints, which happens to be his former team, as he ripped them on multiple occasions, with probably the most noteworthy thing he said being something he yelled in the locker room after the game regarding Saints quarterback Derek Carr, as he said, quote, "They ain't no contenders, they're pretenders. They have Derek Carr, remember that." And this is really just who CJ is, as he's going to speak his mind no matter what. But these comments certainly did rub some people the wrong way, including Cowboys star Micah Parsons, who went at CJ for these comments, while he also made excuses as to why the Saints lost to the Eagles in his most recent podcast episode.
The Saints are a very good team, and CJ Gardner-Johnson said they're pretenders. They ain't no contenders. They're pretenders. And they have Derek Carr. Remember that. I don't know who CJ Gardner think he is, bro. I mean, we've been dealing with this cat for a while. I mean, we just got to be a little bit real right here. Like, I think Derek Carr has validated himself way before CJ has ever done. Like, in a most respectful way, I'm not taking away anything, but Derek Carr has been a Pro Bowl quarterback, before, highest paid quarterback before. Like, let's be real. Like, Derek Carr has always been a pretty quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're a contending team. You got to think their starting center went down in that game. Eric McCoy, probably detrimental. You got to think Ryan Ramczak is still not playing. So they're very limited on the things they can do. They have a rookie O-lineman out there. Trevor Penning, a guy they benched, before. And, I'm not targeting these guys. Guys that are playing in the league, so it's not like they're bad. But when, you got a pretty much healthy roster against, a damaged front, it's kind of limits you on the things you can do. Look at their defense. They held that team to 15 points, produced 3 turnovers. So any defense that's holding a team like the Eagles offense to under 17 points and producing those type of turnovers is a pretty team. I don't know. I mean, CJ must have an unrealistic idea what a pretty team looks like, because to me, that looks like a pretty good defense to me. If you're barely beating a team and the final score is 15-12, I mean, it probably says a lot right there. I mean, it's not like you blew them out, right?
Now, first off, it is certainly interesting that Parsons' whole argument to defend the Saints there was that they were dealing with injuries along the offensive line, while at the very same time, the Eagles went into the game without A.J. Brown and then got decimated by even more injuries, including on the offensive line, but he didn't want to say anything about that. And of course, in regards to his comments on CJ, they were very interesting as well. And you better believe that CD had a response of his own.
Let's start here. People say they don't know who Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is. The fact that you said nobody knows me, it's kind of crazy. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to shake your hand like a man when we play y'all. I ain't got no animosity. Like, bro, I appreciate and salute what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? You one of the top DNs in the league, bro. Like, no bullshit, bro. Shout out to Micah Parsons, bro. I know who you are. If you don't know who I am, well, bro, I've been in the league 6 years. Yes, I bounce around from team to team. Trials and tribulations happens, but God got me where I'm at. Shout out to Micah Parsons. When we play, I just want to be able to swap jerseys with you, bro. That's all. So you know who I am. If we can't do that, bro, I guess you don't know me enough. I'm just being a real brother. Since we speaking on people, bro, I ain't got no animosity towards you, bro. It was an emotional game. Everybody know I came from New Orleans. It was a good game from both sides. You know what I'm saying? It happened, tempers flared, but that's crazy you said that nobody know me. So just give me a chance to come talk to you on your podcast. If that's real, you feel me? That's all, bro. I just want, you know what I'm saying? If you don't know who I am, we can watch film from my rookie year all the way to now. When I picked out Tom Brady to when I snapped Pacheco in the Super Bowl, when I got a 4th down stop, we can look at it all, bro. If people don't know who I am, I apologize, bro. I won an NFC Championship, been in the Super Bowl. And I won a lot of playoff games. I appreciate you though, my boy. So we can talk whenever you want to, man to man. I ain't got no animosity towards you. Just let me know, can I get the jersey for the man cave? You can go on the wall. I know who you is, my G. You can go on the wall, my G.
I don't know about you, but I personally love that response from CJ Gardner-Johnson, as he stayed pretty respectful and classy while also clapping back and refuting what Micah said about him. And of course, he also said in there that he's got no animosity towards Parsons and looks forward to shaking his hand and swapping jerseys with him when they play each other. And again, I mean, we know CJ, he's always going to speak his mind and stick up for himself, and he was able to do that here while also taking the high road. So again, I personally loved it, but what did you guys think about the more classy response by CJ? But now, getting over to the Eagles' other starting safety, I feel like Reed Blankenship does deserve another shout out, because as much as we talk about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and the impact he has on the defense, Reed's had a pretty significant impact as well, as he's been the best safety on this team statistically through 3 weeks. Heck, he's been one of the best safeties in the game statistically through 3 weeks, as he's the 3rd highest graded safety in the NFL, and he's the highest graded safety in terms of pass coverage. Not to mention the fact that the guy is an absolute ball hawk, and he's found ways to consistently come away with interceptions throughout his career. And recently, defensive coordinator Vic Fangio spoke about Reed and his ability to take the football away during a press conference on Tuesday.
He's got good hands. Both of his picks this year are carbon copies, very tough catches. that a lot of guys couldn't make. So his ability to catch the ball is one thing. Two, he does have a good feel for the game. And when he has a chance to be in position to make a play, he usually can. But the ability to catch the ball is number one.
I definitely agree that Reed's hands are pretty impressive for a DB, and I also just think it's super impressive how far he's come in such a short amount of time, with him going from an undrafted backup in 2022 to a starter in 2023, and now so far a very high-level NFL safety in 2024. And hopefully his trajectory keeps trending up and he continues to get better. And of course, you guys know that I'm going to be covering everything else regarding Reed as well as just all the other Eagles news coming throughout this entire season, so again, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of that, and also while you're at it, make sure you drop a like to show some support. It really does help me out a ton. Again, let's see if we can get to 700 likes on this video, and also leave a comment down below just regarding anything else that I talked about in this video. And if you want to watch another video going over how Jahan Dotson could be in line for a much bigger role this week, among other things, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys, so thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.